This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, congressional Democrats set to pass the president's massive COVID stimulus bill. We're going to hear from one group of pro-life Biden supporters who explain why they feel betrayed. The president established a gender policy council on International Women's Day, yet some critics say it actually threatens women's rights. His name is unknown to Americans, but he could be kingmaker in Israeli politics and determine who the next Israeli leader will be. We're going to hear from him on today's show. And behind the scenes of the best-selling children's book that is now a fun family movie. Our conversation with producer Jennifer Garner, the entire cast and director of Yes Day. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with Congress set to approve President Joe Biden's massive $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill. Democrats called the bill necessary, and it includes $1,400 direct payments for most Americans. But Republicans argue the measure is full of left-wing agenda items and pork. But not all Biden supporters are pleased with the bill. CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson brings us this look at why one group of Biden voters say they feel betrayed.
While there is a lot packed into the nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief bill, noticeably missing is the Hyde Amendment, a measure that's been included in budget bills for nearly 4 decades that prevents federal tax dollars from funding abortions.
It was a signal that the extreme wing within the Democratic Party is really determining the agenda.
Dr. Richard Mao, spokesperson for the Pro-Life Evangelicals for Biden Coalition, tells CBN News they were shocked to learn Hyde was left out.
We felt betrayed by the fact that, furthermore, they did not give us a heads up on this. There was no sense of accountability to evangelicals and Catholics who took a lot of risks in saying publicly that they were going to vote for Mr. Biden.
The pro-life group says they had significant talks with the Biden campaign, but not with the administration.
Some of the things that Mr. Biden has said have been very moving, but at the same time, some of his actions seem to go against that.
Republican lawmakers are criticizing Democrats for not working with them on a bipartisan relief bill.
I think a lot of people have a concern that Speaker Pelosi took advantage of the crisis to fill the bill with primarily things that have nothing to do with COVID that should have been discussed separately.
The bill includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals earning up to $75,000 per year, $300 per week in federal unemployment benefits, and it expands the child tax credit to $3,000 per child, or $3,600 for each kid under the age of 6.
People won't have to wait months and months and months. It'll be right in their pocket.
On Tuesday, President Biden visited a small business that received a loan from the Paycheck Protection Program.
400,000 small businesses went out of business. They got in line, but they couldn't get the help. And we found out that an awful lot of that went to bigger businesses that, in fact, weren't supposed to qualify for it.
Almost a year into the global pandemic, and the CDC is issuing new guidelines that fully vaccinated people can gather in small groups without wearing masks. This comes as a growing number of states, including Texas, plan to lift their mask mandates and reopen businesses at 100% capacity. Reporting from Virginia, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Another state has passed tight regulations on abortion as a challenge to Roe v. Wade. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson signed a bill into law that bans nearly all abortions in the state. It allows abortions to save the life of the mother and does not provide exceptions for pregnancies from rape or incest. Supporters hope the measure will force the Supreme Court to revisit the Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion nationwide, but opponents promise to block it before it takes effect later this year. Arkansas is one of at least 14 states where legislators have proposed outright abortion bans this year. A powerful new White House council aims to promote gender ideology across the federal government. The Biden administration officially announced Monday, which was International Women's Day. But some say the council actually threatens women's rights. Heather Sells shows us why.
We'll be working urgently to ensure that both here in the United States and globally, gender and gender identity do not predetermine opportunity and outcomes, and that all people, including women and girls and those who face other forms of discrimination, can thrive.
Jennifer Klein, the new head of the Gender Policy Council, says the council will promote gender and gender identity. Attorney Mary Hassan, a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, says it's part of a new social construct that's confusing at best and harmful for society.
It's deceptive because most people still, when they hear gender, they think you're talking about males and females, and that's not at all what this administration means. So what they are intending to do is to elevate this concept of gender identity above females, above sex-based rights, basically eliminating that as a meaningful concept across the government.
The new council will work with all federal agencies and departments to advance this gender ideology.
So the programs that were meant to advance females, to encourage girls, for example, to be involved in STEM activities and all those things, really now are going to be programs that are measured by how well they include people who identify in other ways.
The council's broad scope and access to cabinet secretaries mean it could profoundly change U.S. policy both at home and abroad. It could abruptly end advances for women and girls by allowing boys and men to change their gender identity at will. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Christian author and Bible teacher Beth Moore says she is, quote, no longer a Southern Baptist. Moore has been identified with the Southern Baptist Convention for decades, but she told the Religion News Service she no longer feels at home in the SBC. Moore was critical of former President Donald Trump. She said she was shocked by the 2005 Access Hollywood tape where he bragged about his sexual exploits with women. Moore has been outspoken about her own experience with sexual abuse. She had also been very vocal in her criticism of the SBC's handling of issues involving racism and sexism. I want to remind you of a new free service from CBN News, a CBN News Daily email. It's called Quick Start, and it gives you the stories you need each morning by 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get important national, international, and faith-based news delivered right to your email inbox. You can subscribe to Quick Start at quickstart.news. Coming up, just under 2 weeks from today, Israelis go to the polls for the 4th time in 2 years. While Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is running again, another candidate could play kingmaker or even become Israel's next leader. We're going to hear from him when we come back.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
He's a potential kingmaker who could create chaos in Israel's upcoming election. So who is this man and how did he get so much power? And where does he stand on the Iranian nuclear deal? Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us an exclusive CBN News interview with this major Israeli power player.
His name is Naftali Bennett. He served in one of Israel's elite commando units and made millions as a software entrepreneur. Now head of the Yamina Party, Bennett is poised to play a key role in the upcoming election. CBN News sat down with Bennett at his campaign headquarters near Tel Aviv.
How would you look at the electoral map right now, and how does Yamina fit in there?
Because of my unique position in the political scene, where I don't belong to any of the blocs, neither the pro-Bibi or anti-Bibi bloc. I've got the ability and leverage to form a stable right-wing government that'll represent the majority of Israelis, which are right of center, but they also want change.
The upcoming election, like the past three, is a complicated political puzzle that revolves around Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Even though Netanyahu and his Likud party will likely gain the most seats in the election, several parties have vowed they won't serve with him. That narrows his options to form a coalition of at least 61 seats.
Bennett has left open the door to join Likud in a right-wing government. That puts him in a position of a likely kingmaker and possibly propelling him to the office of prime minister.
He tells CBN News he feels up to the job.
I'm ready to take that responsibility as former defense minister, former entrepreneur and CEO of companies. I think I've got what's necessary to pull Israel out of this hole and sort of go to the next phase of Israel as the startup nation.
Like most Israeli leaders, Bennett warns about the U.S. re-entering the Iranian nuclear deal.
It's a terrible deal, and I want to explain why. It gives a false sense of confidence that we've got Iran covered, but it doesn't. The deal, in fact, allows Iran to proceed to the very verge of acquiring not one nuclear weapon, but dozens. All they need to do is press a button, and they'll have, within days, dozens of nuclear bombs.
Several parties like Benny Gantz Blue and White might not even cross the 3.5% electoral threshold to get into the Knesset. That favors parties like Bennett's. Still, the question remains whether Bennett could unseat Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Voters will answer that question on March 23rd.
And to continue this look, Chris joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, it looks very tough for Netanyahu. Does he have a path to form a coalition?
Well, he does, Ephraim, but it'd be very tight. You know, Israel, as Naftali Bennett just said, it is a right-leaning country, but so it's not just a left and right issue that Netanyahu is facing. Right now, he's facing anti-Bibi and pro-Bibi. Those are the parties that are aligned against him. So right now, there's two key parties that are anti-Bibi that are actually right-wing parties. That's New Hope with Gideon Sa'ar and Israel Beitenu with Avigdor Lieberman. Now, a lot of Americans may have not heard those names, but they play a key role. So that makes it a tight squeeze for Netanyahu. If you want to think of it as a football game, you can see the election as the first half. And here in Israel, once the election is set, then you go through the post-election process of negotiating who's going to get prime minister, who's going to vote of these parties, who can be the next leader of Israel. So it's very tight for Netanyahu right now.
So what do you see in the latest polls?
Well, Ephraim, one just came out yesterday. It's all about the math. Right now, it's polling 54 seats that are against Bibi Netanyahu, 46 seats that are for him. So neither one of these blocks of voters right now reaches the sort of the magic 61 seats to be able to form a government, when that actually puts Naftali Bennett in the driver's seat.
What about Bennett himself? They're calling him a kingmaker, but does he have a realistic chance of winning himself and becoming prime minister?
Well, actually, he does. Now, he wouldn't actually get the most seats. That's obviously right now, according to all the polls, it's going to go to Netanyahu and the Likud party. They're polling up to 28 seats, maybe 30 seats. But what happens, as I said, in the second half of this election cycle is going to be pivotal. In the post-election, some of these parties could go either way, and you don't have to come into the government,
but they could go to them and he could say, Naftali Bennett can say to these left-wing parties, say, support me as prime minister. What happens after the election is that all the political parties go and they sort of have an audience with the president. And what they say is they want this particular person or this particular party as the prime minister. And the leverage that he has, since he actually is on the right, but also has some support from the left, is that he might be able to do it. He has to, it's sort of a needle he has to thread, and he probably has to get about 15 seats to do that. He's one of the only parties that said he won't serve in a Netanyahu government, so that gives him this leverage. He also has pledged that he won't allow Israel to go to a fifth election. Now, that's key because a lot of Israelis are very distressed about the fourth election here within the last 2 years. And so this is kind of leverage that he has. It's very complicated for an American audience, but that's the way it is here in Israel. There's actually 39 parties that are running for this particular election, and it's doubtful maybe 12 seats or so are going to be cross that 3.5% threshold, but that's what's going to happen, and we'll see what happens, and Naftali Bennett could be a kingmaker.
In under 2 weeks, we'll be relying on you to get us through it. Thank you, Chris. Still ahead, a fun push to add a new day to your calendar. We're taking you behind the scenes of the best-selling children's book that is now a fun family movie. Producer Jennifer Garner and the entire cast, as well as the director, will join us next.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of CBN NewsWatch. Moms, dads, children of all ages, we have a fun film to share and an experiment you may want to try. We all get tired of hearing and saying no, so actress Jennifer Garner hopes to inspire us all to say yes. She's the producer and star of the new film Yes Day. We chatted with Jen, her co-stars, and the film's director to bring you this first look at the fun family film.
Learned from being a mom, it's that parents and kids always disagree on one thing. No! Rules.
But saying no 50 times an hour?
No.
Absolutely not.
Nope on a rope.
It's part of the job.
But all of that is about to change.
Jennifer, I understand you've been actually living Yes Days for a few years. What started it?
I'll show you what started it. This book by Amy Krauss Rosenthal was on my kids' shelves, and I read it to them, and they dreamed, it's no, 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 and finally, yes!
Have you heard about Yes Day? It's this new thing where parents say yes to everything their kids ask for 24 hours. Radical! How am I just hearing about this?
I started doing that about 9 years ago, and the next thing you know, now it's a movie, and everyone can try it.
Well, Yes Days are like fun, and Mom and Dad are like fun killers.
We are plenty fun.
What's been the most outrageous ask for a yes in your time of doing it?
The asks I find are really more simple than you might think. When my kids were little, they would want to sit in the front seat of the car and play with the knobs of the radio because they were always stuck in a car seat. We wouldn't even drive anywhere. They just wanted to feel what it was like to do all the windows by themselves, and it's always something silly that you don't expect. You might have to help them think of it though.
In the end, you know, when you look at all the activities and all the requests, you know, on behalf of the children, you realize that everything boils down to time and focus. I mean, that is the most beautiful gift that you can give to someone you love, to the people that you care most. Time and focus.
We used to say yes to everything. We can be fun again.
Really?
Let's do this! Arriba!
Jennifer, so you are not only a star in this film, you're also a producer. What made you want to see this story on screen?
I was looking for something to do that was joyful and that reflected my experience as a mom, with my kids getting a little bigger and still with a little one, and the age differences between them, and just yeah, so it's actually very personal. It's a very personal story for me.
It's Yes Day! Who's ready for Yes Day? Ellie wants to do your hair and makeup.
I have a vision.
Yes. I'm glad you're using your watercolor.
Everly, can you tell me about the character that you play and what she like?
She likes to be funny and sometimes disobey in a funny way, which is a lot like us.
So Julian, tell me about your dude.
Yeah, I play Nano Torres in the film, and he's like funny, fun, energetic, like exciting, and I relate to him in a lot of ways. What do we do? One word, 2 letters, and oh.
What is it about this story and this project that connected with you most?
It's Jennifer Garner, to be honest. She's a very genuine, super considerate, nice person, and she's extremely optimistic. And every time I work with her, honestly, I feel like I'm a better person. I feel like I have a better attitude. When she said, hey, I want to do a movie called Yes Day, I was like, there's no way I can say no to that. And it was pretty amazing as I found out about it. You know, like the reason she wanted to do this is because she finds it very invigorating, very positive for her family, and she wanted to share that with the world.
This is going to be awesome!
You are going down!
See, I'm not always a fun killer.
There's no way you guys are gonna make it throughout the whole day.
I hear myself when I'm with the kids, and I think I wouldn't even hang out with me. If we want Yes Day to make a difference, we need to go all in. I need to win this gorilla for my kids.
You're going down, lady.
I did it! I want the gorilla!
Yes Day begins streaming on Netflix this week. Say yes to watching it with the entire family and consider adding a Yes Day to your calendar. And I hope so you will also add Studio 5 to your lineup. We've got more from the film and a Grammy preview on tonight's Studio 5. It's on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Coming up, heading back to church, there could be church attendance boom on the horizon as people get ready to head back after the threat of COVID-19 is over. We'll tell you how many up next. Stay with us.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
I spent many years here.
Now available.
And I've returned with a message.
I am Patrick. Get your DVD with 4K streaming access for a gift of any dollar amount. Also included is your special access to the St. Patrick's Day premiere of the I Am Patrick theatrical release with exclusive bonus content on the CBN Family app. Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit iampatrick.com today.
Churchgoers across the country are looking forward to returning once the threat of COVID-19 is over. 91% say they plan to go to worship services at least as often as they did before the pandemic. That includes 23% who plan to attend even more services than they did before. Those are some of the findings by a recent study of 1,000 Protestant churches by Lifeway Research. The survey also found 43% of young adults from ages 18 to 29 said they will attend church more often after COVID-19 than they did before. You can find out more information from this survey at cbnnews.com, including a look at how these churchgoers view their own personal faith. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is press. I want to encourage you not to give up. Press on, press up, press forward. This is not the time to quit or grow weary. There are miracles on the other side, but you have to keep pressing to move through and to reach what is waiting. That press is equipping you to handle all that awaits. With that word, I encourage you to make this a wonderful Wednesday and be sure to have a wonderful rest of the week and do it on purpose. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen today. Email us at the address on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We'll look forward to seeing you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.